anything else on the TCU Iowa State game, unless you have something.
No, this heading into the season could have been a really, really good game. Unfortunately, Iowa State just has not lived up. I really hope they win though. Like I hope I'm wrong.
Eh,
Even though I
It
like TCU,
everything
I'm gonna
just
have to go.
to me everything stacks up against them. Shout out to Hot Petter for finishing the game and one bucket, then the game stealing block. Never mind, we turned the ball over, dude, and then we fell. I spoke too soon. It's whatever. Um, I want. I kind of want to finish this game before we get into the next segment because
I'm
it
down.
is the coaching carousel. That is what I've been most excited to talk about. Something that I don't really feel like I would ever have the confidence to do. Just predicting where coaches will land. But I'm excited to do it. But I want to be fully locked in when I do it. Um, and right now, my boys in orange and blue are just struggling out here. And I think Keyshawn Hall just fouled out. Oh no, he got elbowed in the eye, so he's just getting some patches. It'd be alright. Walk it off. This is crazy. This is crazy. I didn't think I'd have to be stressing this, bro. I didn't think I'd have to
What's
be
it? What's the
stressing
score?
this.
What's the score for you right now?
93 to 88 with 40 seconds left.
Okay, I like your odds.
Okay.
Easily.
Is it over?
Fun fact.
Like if it's
No,
over,
no, it's
um,
not. It's not over. No,
okay,
it is not. I'm sitting at the same place you are. So,
okay, okay. The teams that we have for the coaching carousel are Penn State, LSU, Florida, Arkansas, Auburn, and FSU. Um, FSU, I was, you know, thinking they were gonna at some point let go of Mike Norvell. Mike Norvell might be good through next year, but we already have him on here. I already have my
yeah.
predictions, so we can do that first while I'm not locked in. I have a really fun. I have two predictions, like main guys that I really think like have a shot of being the next FSU coach.
All
So
right.
I'm going to start with the three that I think are in contention, and then I'm going to give you the last two who I think are realistic options. I have Brent Keys. I think he's a good coach. I don't. The thing about Brent Keys is he's at his alma mater. I think he's going to be in my conversations for a few more um, head coach openings. I just think it would be really hard to get him to leave. Um, but he's a guy that is tough, hard nosed, ready to win wherever he goes. I think he's proven enough to get a head coaching job somewhere big, like an FSU, and it would be interesting. Um, I have James Franklin. I don't have James Franklin on a lot of my lists for a reason. And that reason is I've heard a lot of under the table that he is already kind of tied down to a Virginia Tech job. There's
Yeah.
obviously no confirmation. That is just what I'm hearing, but I do think if that is not true, I think FSU is an attractive job for James Franklin. Um, I think Brian Hartline, the Ohio State offensive coordinator, I think he's a guy that is on the move somewhere. Um, I can't confirm that it's FSU. Kind of just went with my gut feeling. FSU, I didn't really have a whole bunch of information. But for these next two guys, I fully believe, for good reason, they could be the next Florida State head coach, whether that be this year, next year, so on and so forth. I'm going to give you the more fun one, the more obvious one, the one that I don't think would be such an amazing hire for Florida State. He has more to prove to me. Um, Deion Sanders. How are we going to talk about the Florida State head coaching job and not mention Deion Sanders? I know it's corny. I know it's all funny and all talk, but really they're going to go out and they're going to offer him. I would be surprised if they didn't. I like his coaching style. I just have to see him win more. Um, there's just more he has to do as a winner, um, in my opinion. Okay, hold on. Prediction for FSU is a guy that you might watch pretty often. He's a guy over there that works for the Duke Blue Devils, Manny Diaz. Um, a good up and coming coach. The reason I picked him for Florida State, Manny Diaz is a Florida State alum, and I
Is
think
he?
yes, and I think if
I
he
did
got
not.
that job offer, he would take it in a heartbeat. I think it would be a
I
good
agree.
fit. Um, I don't think he's the best option of everybody available, but I think it would be a really good fit at Florida State, and that would be my realistic prediction.
I agree. I agree. All right, so for me on my hot lists, once again, I don't feel good about this stuff, but I'll throw it out there. James Franklin, who has been tied to a lot of job openings and stuff. Alex Golish, whose name I don't know if you've noticed has slowly started to die off. A lot of these listings. Don't know why that is, but that's what I've been noticing. Of course, John Summerall over at Tulane, who's in every coaching candidacy conversation. Brent Key up at Georgia Tech. You mentioned him too. I have another one that I don't think you said, but that's Clark Lee at Vandy.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think he could be getting some looks, and rightfully so. For my prediction, um, you know, I didn't feel good about it. I think Florida State is gonna kind of botch this a little bit and maybe wait a little too long.
Mm-hmm.
And so maybe they don't get their first, second choice. So maybe they kind of settle, go in state, go over to Tampa, and go grab that coach from USF and say, hey, you have potential. Let's give you a shot. And so I'm gonna pick Alex Golish. I had to put him somewhere. I put him predicting him to go to FSU.
I like Alex Golis. I think he's a
Yeah,
really good up and coming coach. I
I
was
agree.
really high on Alex Golish coming to Auburn. I really wanted that hire until I found out Alex Golish calls a lot of his own plays. I don't need
He
that.
does.
Keep
He
it away
does.
from me. I'm
Yeah.
scarred for life. I don't want it ever again. Um, so with that being said, I'm fully locked in. Uh, Auburn survives a thriller. Uh, oh. So we're gonna get into the Penn State one. I think that's the debatably the biggest job opening right now. Um, and I got the obvious one that we talked about earlier in the year, but I think my list is a little bit different. I think we're gonna have two similarities, and I think everything else is gonna be different. So I'm
Okay.
gonna get the two similarities out of the way. I think Matt Rule is the front runner. I know we just got an extension. Penn State has the money. I don't think it matters. I think Matt Rule is just setting himself up to get paid even more money when Penn State has to pay for his buyout, and then they're going to have to pay him a contract on top of that. Um,
Yeah.
so I think he's just setting himself up for more money. I think he's the very all right.
Bet. Let's do it.
Gonna have a lot of chopping up to do on this podcast. Side though. Um,
We'll be all right.
what was I on Penn State? We were on Penn State. I was talking about Matt Rule. Still think he's the obvious uh, coach. They got the money. Don't see why they wouldn't. I think he's the best available option. Um, so that would be my legitimate prediction. Next, I have Matt Campbell. Um, I think Matt Campbell is due for a step up. It might not be this year. Um, I haven't heard his name a whole lot circulating, but I still think he's a fairly good candidate. Um, a guy in the Big 12 that has competed. And when you're a team like Penn State and you move on from James Franklin, I think you're looking to make that next step, and you look at the guys that have potential. I think Matt Campbell is still one of those guys that you look at that can take you to the next step because he has potential. I'm not saying he's better than James Franklin. I don't think I see that me personally, but I can see how you would see the potential in a Matt Campbell hire, that would probably be, I don't know. I don't know if that would be my second prediction. I really like this next guy. That this might shock you. I have an NFL guy, and I've heard his name moving a little bit. Named Joe Brady, Bills
Yeah,
offensive
the OC for
coordinator.
the Bills.
Yeah, dog. I
Yep,
think he's bound to come to college. I hear his name in a lot of talks.
I
Um,
do. I do too.
and I think when you're a team like Penn State, you got to swing. You got to take a swing if you're going to move on from James Franklin. You got this guy who's operating at the highest level you can with a guy like Josh Allen in the NFL, and you look at the weapons they have. They don't have much, and their offense is still crazy good. And I think Joe Brady is due for one of these jobs. And I think Penn State has the money. I think they have the resources. I think that would be an attractive job to him. And I think that would be my second pick for Penn State. Um, After that, I have Brian Kelly. This is my least likely one. I just know it's being talked about for Penn State. I don't like it. If I was a Penn State fan, I wouldn't like it. Personally, I don't think Brian Kelly gets a Power 5 job this next season unless it's on one of the lower scale teams.
I think
Um,
he has to like sit out a year because his name has been so muddied over the past like weeks. So
well,
nobody might want to touch him for a year.
somewhere, I think in his buyout contract, he has to get a job. Like, I'm pretty sure it's
He
in
could do
his.
an immediate too. He could
Yeah,
get a media job.
he could, but
Yeah.
he has to get a job. Um, but I don't think he gets any Power Five job.
Yeah.
But I'm putting it on here strictly for media purposes. That's what I'm hearing his name coming up in the conversation. I don't believe it. I'm not buying it. But I'm still gonna put it on there. And then my last head coaching pick. I think Jeff Brom is a guy that they really look at. I think Jeff Brom is
I
a
agree.
winner. I would personally love him at Auburn. Jeff Brom is a winner. He knows how to get the big games done. It's proven. He's done it multiple times over there at Louisville. And that's what you fired James Franklin for. A guy that couldn't get the big wins. I think Jeff Brom can get those big wins over at Penn State. You give him those resources, you give him that money, and I think Jeff Brom is a guy that can definitely get you those big wins.
Yeah, I like how you said Joe Brady and Jeff Brum. Those are guys that I do not have on my list, but I like when making this at once upon a time they were on my list, and then I subbed them out. Those are two guys that really could. I think Penn State would be a great fit for both those guys. But to start my list, I have the guy who was just an assistant there a couple years ago, Manny Diaz, the current Duke head coach. I have Brian Kelly on that list too, just because there is some talk around that. Matt Campbell, I think you also said him. I have Clark Lee because there also is some talks around there. I don't know if they'd go get another Vandy coach, but maybe, maybe not. I don't know. We'll see.
It'd be kind of funny.
And then last, a coach that I've been hearing get a lot of talk around this, and I'm not sure how I believe it, if I believe it at all. But especially given that he's at a good situation right now, but that's Mike Elko. He has coached up in that area of the country. He has connections up there, and his name is getting very quietly thrown around up in Penn State territories as a guy that they could go all in on, and he might potentially be interested. My only concern there is I'm convinced Texas A&M, and this you will see this a factor with a lot of these jobs, is a lot of these coaches are potential playoff coaches, and the first round of the playoffs doesn't start till December 19th and the 20th. That's Friday and Saturday. A lot of these teams are going to want to have their coaches hired by then, and I don't see a lot of the like Mike Elko's not taking the Penn State job right before the playoffs start. He's not doing that. So that's you'll see we also like get into like Lane Kiffin talk and whatnot. I think that also plays a factor there. So that's something to consider. Um, but yeah, Mike Elko getting some talk there. My ultimate pick, you picked Manny Diaz to go to Florida State. I'm picking him to go to Penn State. So we both think Manny Diaz is on the move. But I do have an honorable mention. That is a guy who jokingly said he could be fired. And I do not think he will be fired. I do not. I would not be surprised if at the end of the season there is a
Oh my god.
mutual separation in terms of they both parties feel that it would be better for them to move on. Of course, I'm talking about no other than Dabo Sweeney. I don't know if he would even be available. I don't know if he would go. I don't know if they would want him. But it's an interesting conversation to have because he has won. He's a two-time national championship winner. He's failed to adapt in many ways. If you told me that Dabo Sweeney was committed to adapting, oh, I think you'd be silly not to go get him. But I don't have that promise. So, but that's just a name to watch out for. But give me Manny Diaz going there.
Me personally, if my name is James Franklin and I see Penn State going to get Dabo Sweeney, who's not going to hit the transfer portal whatsoever, I feel like I just got slapped in the face. But I like the honorable mention because he did jokingly say, I like that whole. I don't know where. To be honest, if Dabo gets fired, I don't know where he's going. I don't know if anybody else is going to put up with Dabo. The way Clemson puts up with Dabo. He's got a big mouth. He's a big crybaby. The game is moving on. He needs to get over it. But with that being said, we're going to go on to what I think is a very interesting job opening. And the list ranges for me. Like, you get the best of the best, and you get some, questionable decisions. LSU. I think this is a job opening that is just as strong and just as powerful as Penn State. But considering the entire dumpster fire that is going on over there, I think it's a job that is just, you don't know what's going to happen. I have kind of 3 predictions here. One of them's kind of a joke, but it's not. I think it's a last-ditch effort. I'm going to go with my unrealistic ones first. Number 1, Lane Kiffin. Me personally, this is just me. I don't think Lane Kiffin leaves Ole Miss, but if he does, I don't think it's for LSU. I think it's for an Ole Miss or an Auburn. I don't think he's coming to Auburn. I mean, I think he'll go to Florida or he'll go to Auburn. Only considering the fact that he almost took the Auburn job when it was originally open. And I do like him at Florida. I think that's a better fit than the LSU. Me personally, I'm not trying to get too caught up in the media hype. I don't think Lane Kiffin is leaving Ole Miss. You probably disagree with that. I don't know how you feel about that. I don't think
I didn't pick him to go anywhere.
I don't think he leaves Ole Miss.
I picked him to stay.
I'm putting him on this list for the same reason I put on Brian Kelly for Penn State. The media is bringing it up.
Yes.
I think the next on the list of unrealism, which is possible, I just don't think they'll go get him. Alex Golish. I think he kind of fits the LSU style. I think his style of coaching would fit right in with LSU. I think he'd be a good coach. It might take him a few years to get developed into the SEC. I think at some point Alex Golish will have to give up his play calling rights, and I think he will. But it would definitely be a learning curve. It would definitely be like, you'd have to walk with him. I don't think he's a necessarily win now type of guy, like playoff type of guy. He can probably get you 8 wins in the SEC. But I think he is a guy to watch for LSU. Now I'm getting into my 3 real predictions. I'm going to go with the silliest one first. Come on, bro. Ed freaking Ogeron. He said he's ready to come back. If they don't got nobody else, they better call Ed Ogeron. I need to hear him. Go Tigers. I need to hear it. I didn't like LSU, but one thing I did like was Ed Ogeron being the head coach over there. It's always fun. In all seriousness, I think Ed Ogeron, when he's serious, when he's not just trying to get a payday, I think he's a fairly decent coach. I don't think he's absolute dog water.
He's an elite motivator.
The problem is he left LSU just trying to get the bag. Yeah. He left in a bad way, but like I said, It is an absolute dumpster fire going on over there right now at LSU. And if they have nobody else to call, if I was LSU, I'm calling Ed Ogeron because he's told you he wants to come back. He said he would be so happy, so electrified to come back, and I think that would be a lot better than going out and getting a coach that you don't know nothing about. That would be a total flyer. Um, I think if you had no other option, Ed Ogeron would be your guy. Next on the list, I think this is probably the second. To me, I could totally see this happening. I think Clark Lee has a real shot of going to LSU. Um, to me personally, I think he has to prove a little bit more without the Diego Pavia in that offense. But if a coach always has a good quarterback, what does that say about the coach? You know, Clark Lee is a defensive guy. Um, Vandy is outperformed, obviously. And if you see that in the SEC, if you see a head coach making Vandy a top 10 team at a point in time during the season, you seriously need to consider, well, we're in the SEC and we have all of those resources plus 10 times 10. If you're LSU, Vandy doesn't even compete. There's no
Yeah.
comparison. I think it would be a really good culture fit. I think it would be a really good style fit. I really like Clark Lee at LSU. I just don't know if it'll happen considering everything that's going on. And I think the most likely to happen, even without the dumpster fire, I think John Summerall will end up at LSU. Once again, I really like the fit. I think they're going to try to, take a swing on a guy that is one of these G5 schools that, like an Alex Golish, like I said. I think they're going to try to take a swing, and I think John Summerall is that swing. If you're John Summerall, I don't see why you wouldn't take the LSU job. It's a great job, no matter the dumpster fire. You can find a way to win with all the money, with all the resources. That would be my pick for LSU.
Yeah, obviously first I have Lane Kiffin. I don't have Kiffin going anywhere similar to you. That's just because, yeah, I was talking about kind of how when the playoffs start, when these coaches need to be hired by, with the transfer portal and everything. I think that pretty much eliminates Lane Kiffin from a lot of these jobs. But he's on the list nonetheless. John Summerall, guy I have on the list. I have Dan Lanning on here. If LSU finds a way to get their crap together and can come up with a package and really present a deal to Dan Lanning, I think he'd listen. I'm not saying he'd go, but I think he would listen. I think most coaches would if LSU came knocking, by the way.
Yeah.
You'd be silly not to. So I'm throwing that name out there. Eli Drinkwitz is a name that very well also could be on the move this offseason, whether it be to a Florida, a Penn State, a Florida State, a LSU, one of those jobs. I think LSU could be one of these jobs. They could be interested. Um, Marcus Freeman is a guy that a lot of people down in LSU really like, and I don't know the optics about doing that. And even if Marcus Freeman would be interested, I have no idea. But I know that LSU guys, including people that have some important opinions down there, really like Marcus Freeman. So that's why he's on the list. And then obviously I have Alex Golish. I have a couple more than five, but Alex Golish, and then Kenny Dillingham. If he was going to come to the SEC, LSU could be a place that could attract him. And then last but not least, a name that I have purposefully not said yet. Like even like in our texts or whatever. Like I've been very quiet about this little prediction. And ultimately, who I think is the sleeper pick and who I'm going to pick just for fun and because I think it could happen to get the LSU job. So there's a three-loss team in the SEC who their silly fans are starting to talk about hot seat for their coach because they lost three games, even though their program has been total dog crap for the past 2 decades, and he's the only reason that they're relevant right now. If LSU went after Josh Heupel, they could have him.
Oh
If
my
they wanted him,
gosh.
they could have him. So, there's always in some of these coaching searches that one name that nobody talks about.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden you hear that rumor, hey, there might be interest there. And then a week later he's hired. Watch out for Josh Heupel to end up at LSU because a lot of times like when these coaching searches go on, they throw a lot of smoke in different directions. Well, secretly they're working behind the scenes to get their guy. Tennessee's not going to make the playoffs, so he's going to be available post regular season play. His fan base is being obnoxious to him right now, all things considered, given what he's done for them. And let's be real, LSU is a better job than Tennessee, at least in the broader scope. Maybe not right this second, but in the broader scope of things, it is. So that's an interesting one that keep in the back of your mind. Don't say it too loud. Keep it in the back of your mind. Josh Heupel, LSU.
It'd be crazy if they. I saw a post earlier that they said Tennessee deserves everything that comes after running Josh Heupel out of Tennessee.
They absolutely do.
If they do it,
Yeah,
I would be like not. I don't want to say I'd be in shock because of like I can't believe it happened. I'm saying I'd be in shock that they're actually that dumb. Please, I'll take them. I'll take them. Please, I'll gladly take them. I need something. I need something to hold on to.
uh,
Um, I I think they'd be absolute idiots to give up on him right now, especially right after coming off of a playoff berth. I know it wasn't a good showing, but you got there, and that says something. I don't think that would be
yeah,
very advised, but I could see it
I'd
happening.
agree.
Um, with that said, we're going into the Florida predictions. Gonna get the
Mm,
two obvious ones out of the way. Alex Golish, Lane Kiffin. Alex Golish right there, right down the road at USF. Um, be a lateral move. He knows how to recruit in the state of Florida. I'm sure he has plenty of connections. It would be not like a lateral move in job, but a lateral move in, you know, accessibility
like
for him,
resources. Yeah, yeah.
resources. Yeah. So it would be a very easy transition for Alex Golish, and it would, what does Florida have to lose at this point? That's not my pick, but I think that is a name to watch just because of his familiar. Gosh, dude, I'm about to give up on these words. You know what I'm trying to say.
Hmm.
I think Alex Golish is the name to watch. Lane Kiffin, if he left Ole Miss, I think Florida would be the spot. Um, it would be fun. I just don't think Lane Kiffin leaves Ole Miss. That is literally the only thing not. That is the only thing stopping me from predicting him to go to Florida. I think Lane Kiffin and Ole Miss is a match made in heaven. But what do I know? I'm just a fan. I'm just a guy behind a screen that's talking for fun. But I think Lane Kiffin and Ole Miss are a match made in heaven. I don't think he would leave for Florida. But if he did, I would understand why. I think that's also a good fit. I just don't think he can bring the championships that they want. And I think that would be not dumb on Lane's part, but pretty dumb on Lane's part. Because at Ole Miss, they're not forcing you to win national championships there. You get 10 wins every year, 9 wins every year. They're going to be happy that you competed. They're going to be happy that you upset some SEC teams. They're going to be happy with your playoff appearance. They're going to be happy with your bowl wins. And you're going to go into next season with a good recruiting class and do it all again. I think another name to look out for Florida, it would be funny. I think it's possible. Dan Mullen. I think Dan
No, they're
Mullen.
not doing that. They're not doing it.
I think Dan Mullen
Ain't
can
no
make
way.
his return to the SEC. I think Dan Mullen has a real shot of finding an SEC job this year.
I agree with that.
I'm not saying it will happen. I do have him predicted for another team. Not as the number one prediction, but I do have him predicted. And my two realistic predictions. Number one would be Glenn Schumann. I've heard his name come up a lot in this Florida job. He's a guy that was from the Saban tree. Now he's obviously from the Kirby tree. And I'm just like everybody else. I think he's ready to take that next step. He's done great this year. It's obviously not the most talented defense. It's not the best defense, but when it matters most, they find a way to get stops. They find a way to win the game. And I think Glenn Schumann is definitely on the move. Um, and if I had to predict where he goes, I would say Florida. Now, who I think gets the Florida job is this is another alumni guy. This is a Florida alum who's currently coaching a ranked team in the Big Ten, purple and gold, just like Kalen DeBoer, Jed Fish. I think Jed Fish is on the move.
You're right.
He's
Yeah.
putting on a clinic over there in Washington, a stellar offense, a Florida alum, and I think that would be one of those match made in heaven type of deals. I think the way he wants to coach, I think his style, it kind of is similar to Kalen DeBoer. They're not obviously the same, but it does have its similarities, and I think that at Florida with their resources would be absolutely electric. And that would be my number one prediction for the Florida job is Jed Fish.
Yeah. He just needs to get him a black hoodie, and then he'll be Kevin DeBoer.
Nah,
Uh,
we don't need two of those in the SEC.
Yeah. Obviously, I have Lane Kiffin. I have Brent Key on this too. I also have Jeff Brom, who you mentioned earlier. I think Jeff Brom is a candidate for this job. I also have Alex Golish. I think Florida, given the booster situation and all that, I think they don't want to go the route of a G5 coach. I think they want somewhat of a proven Power 5 guy. And I don't know. There is some speculation around Glenn Schumann. Very possible. That's a guy I have written down too. Um, so we'll see about that. Ultimately, I think this is where they go get Eli Drinkwitz. I think he gets this job. I like honestly, to be totally honest, this is the one I'm most confident about. I feel more confident that Eli Drinkwitz will end up at Florida than anything else I've said. Um, don't know why that is. It just seems like it's gonna happen. Um, we'll see. Some good candidates. I think Jeff Brom would be the best candidate, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
Go get Jeff Brom. It might not be the hottest hire, but I think he would be great down there. I think he'd be great anywhere. He's being great at Louisville. So, but I think Eli Drinkwitz will be the next coach. He's a big name, SEC coaching experience, taking a Missouri program that's not known to be very relevant all the time. He's taken them to 9-10 win seasons pretty much every year over the past few years. So yeah, I would go with Drink for that for the Florida job. But I do like you said Jed Fish because I heard that one too, and that's an interesting one that could happen. It really could.
That would probably be one of the ones I'm most confident on. I really think Jed Fish finds his
Yeah,
way into the SEC. I don't see it any other place except for Florida.
yeah,
But we'll see.
I agree.
Like you said, this is all speculation. I would never have the confidence to do this like just regularly. So this is all for fun. Nobody take us serious.
Not too
Arkansas,
seriously, at least.
this is a straight just kind of had fun with it. Because I think Arkansas right now is where Auburn was when they made the Hugh Freeze hire. I think they're in very similar situations. Obviously not the coaching situations like moving on, but just where their program is looked at, how it is seen by the media and the coaches out there. I think it's in a very similar position. So with that being said, the number one person on my list is Dan Mullen. I think Dan Mullen is really getting consideration back into the SEC. And when you look at, what Auburn did, they went and got a guy with SEC experience who has competed at the SEC level. Maybe never SEC champ, but competed. And you don't want to try to take a swing and miss, but you want to try to go with the quote unquote safe option, and it doesn't end up being so safe, and it turns out to be a bad idea. And I think that is my likely prediction for Arkansas is Dan Mullen. I think they try to do the same thing that Auburn did. I think it's a literal replay, all in the form of Arkansas, and They get Dan Mullen, and it just does not work out. That is my prediction. Um,
Yeah, I can see that. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I have Ryan Silverfield, maybe. Um, I think he is in conversations. I don't know if Ryan Silverfield gets a SEC job this year. I'm
Yeah.
not saying he doesn't get a job at all. I just don't know if it's in the SEC. Um, but if he were to go anywhere, Arkansas would be my guess. I have no reason why. I just think it would be a good fit. I think Arkansas would be the team to take the swing on him. Ryan Silverfield, to me, just has more to prove as a G5 coach. Um, Arkansas can do the funniest thing ever and keep their current interim as their head coach, bring him back. Bobby Petrino, let's run it back. I think that's a real possibility for Arkansas. Just because, like I said, it's not the most attractive job. It's a very busy coach carousel. A lot of things are going to be going on. And, you see his offense. His offense is working. His offense is still electric. He obviously still has that fire because he's cussing out SEC refs every weekend. It is hilarious to watch. And I think he's a serious candidate. Um, Everybody outside of Ryan Silverfield, I have on here, I truly believe could get a job at Arkansas. Uh, Number four, I said him earlier. You're not gonna expect this. Ed Ogeron. Um, I think
Oh, it was wrong.
I think Ed Ogeron. Instead of "Go Tigers," you can say "Go Razorbacks."
Oh,
That's
Hawks. He gonna say
yeah,
Hawks.
go Hogs. That's my Ed Ogeron impression. I get paid by the hour. Um, but I think he has a legitimate chance to find his way back into the SEC. Arkansas is a team that's scrambling. They're looking for something. They're looking for hope. If I was at Arkansas and my choices were Dan Mullen or Ed Ogeron, I'd probably take Ed Ogeron. At least he's won a national championship, an SEC championship, and I don't think the game is too far past his time. He just got lazy, and that's my honest opinion
Yeah,
on Ed
he won
Ogeron.
his natty. He got lazy. I agree.
I think he can still compete at a competitive level in the SEC. Um, and then another guy that really wants to coach in the SEC, whose name's been circulating a lot. I don't think it's at an Auburn. I don't think it's at an LSU, but I do think it could be at a school like Arkansas. And another realistic position for me, John Gruden. I think John Gruden finds his way into college ball this year. I don't know where it's going to be at, but if I'm Arkansas, I'm calling up John Gruden and at least giving it a shot. He said he wants to coach in the SEC. I don't think he's going to get an Auburn, Florida, LSU job. Um, but if I'm Arkansas, I have nothing to lose. My previous coach, love him to death, great guy. But Sam Pittman, it's really not that hard to get any worse. And I don't mean that like in a bad way to Sam Pittman. They're just a 6-6 team, 7-5 team, 8-4 team, and I think John Gruden can bring that. I think John Gruden is competitive. I think John Gruden knows, obviously he was a NFL guy, but I think John Gruden could get in here and recruit his butt off. I think people love John Gruden. He has so many connections. He knows so much about football. I would take a flyer on John Gruden if I was Arkansas. My realistic prediction, I have three. It's Dan Mullen, Ed Ogeron, or John Gruden. I can't pinpoint one. If I had to guess and just take a swing, I think it's Dan Mullen.
Yeah, yeah. I also have Dan Mullen on my list. I also have Bobby Petrino, but Bobby Petrino did just lose to Mississippi State. Before that, lost to Auburn. And then his next three games are at LSU. Well, he has a bye week this week, so then he goes to LSU, to Texas, and then Missouri. Brings in Missouri. He probably is going to go 0-3 through the last three, which would put
Mm-hmm.
him 0-5 as the interim. Nah, I don't think if he does that, he gets the bump up. As much as I like Petrino. Um, so I don't think Petrino, but he is worth mentioning. Um, I also have John Gruden. I think if he does find his way in the SEC, it's right here. Um, and I don't think it'd be a bad move for Arkansas. It
Yeah,
brings some
I agree.
interest. They have like the Tyson and the Walmart boosters. If, John Gruden coming in could bring some interest there, and he could kind of get a little bit more money than what they're getting right now, could be a good fit. Could maybe not national title, but it could be, if Arkansas, he goes 8-4 every year for the next 5 years, like that's good. He did a good job at Arkansas.
Yeah.
So, and I think that is very possible. Uh, James Franklin, I'm gonna throw his name in a lot of these just because don't really know what he's thinking. We think Virginia Tech, but we don't know for sure yet. Um, John Sumrall, I also have on here. I think he takes a bigger job, but we don't really know yet. So that is kind of in the back seat. And then the guy who I think will get it, you did mention his name, but it's a guy just across the Mississippi River, in Memphis, Tennessee. Ryan Silverfield, I think he does get this job. I think he gets the SEC job, especially because I think Memphis is posing themselves well to make the American title game, maybe make the college football playoffs. We'll see. Um, and if that's the case, then I could see Ryan Silverfield going just to the neighboring state, not far, over to Fayetteville. So that would be my
I
pick.
think we only had one difference, and mine was Ed Ogeron, and you had James
James Franklin.
Franklin.
Yeah.
So
But
two
I could see
unemployed
Coach O.
coaches.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And with obviously the last open job, I saved it for last for obvious reasons. I told you I would have 10 coaches ready. I have 10 coaches ready. I have more in my head. I'm not going to name them. There are a lot of candidates for this Auburn job. There's
Brian
some.
Harsin?
No, he's not on my
No.
list. There's some
Gus
that I've
Malzahn?
heard. I have heard him.
No.
Don't think it happens.
No.
There are some that have been mentioned that are absolutely terrible and are god awful. And if they brought in that person, I would cry myself to sleep. So I did not put them on the list. I didn't even bother. I don't have any. I'm gonna go from least likely to, I guess, likelihood. I guess. So least likely, a name. I don't think it happens, but we tried to get him before, didn't work out. Lane Kiffin. Just don't think it happens. I'm not gonna give much insight on it. A guy that I would be willing to take a flyer on. I just don't think he's proven enough. At his G5 school for it to make sense for Auburn. And that's Eric Morris at North Texas. I think he's electric. Yeah. I think he's going to find a job in the next few years. Might not be this year. I would love him at OC. If we could get him at OC, that would be electric. I don't know if he's ready for that head coaching job in the SEC yet, though.
Yeah.
A name that has really started to slip. I just don't think the traction is there. Alex Golish. I was really high on him. Found out that he called his own plays. I think he would eventually change, but I do think he is a learning process. And John Cohen has made it very clear we're ready to take that next jump. I don't think he wants to teach anybody. I don't think we want to wait any longer. John Cohen has made it clear that we're ready. We want to win now. So I got him on my list, but I think it's on the less likely end. Next, I would have Brent Key, just because he's at his alma mater. I think it would be a good hiring. I just don't think he leaves Georgia Tech right at this moment. He might for the right job. Like if Penn State called him, I think he leaves in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
But I don't think Auburn is on that level to where we call him and Brent Key's like, yeah, I'll leave my alma mater where I feel at home and I'm having fun and I don't have any national championship expectations on me to come coach at Auburn that just went 4-5, 1-5 in SEC play and needs to rebuild. Next on my list, unrealistic up. Think Drinkwitz is somebody to look out for. Previous Auburn experience. This is something I didn't know. He was Auburn quality control from 2010 to 2011, the year we won the national championship. I did not know that about Eli Drinkwitz.
Interesting.
So he does have Auburn experience. A guy that can do a lot with a little. That's something that we need. I would be, I don't know about excited. I would feel good about the hire though. And then I guess I'm getting into my top 7 or top 6, something like that. Jeff Brom from Louisville. I think that would be an amazing hire. I really like Jeff Brom. I think that would be one of my home run hits. I just have not heard a lot of traction for him. Maybe they surprise me. I don't know what John Cohen's thinking. He's on my list though. Next on my unrealistic list, Rhett Lashley. Or not unrealistic, but unrealistic up to realistic. I think everybody after this is very realistic. Rhett Lashley. He just signed an extension. Without the extension, I would have told you that Rhett Lashley. What were you going to say?
So I heard a rumor with a little bit of legitimacy that they verbally agreed on an extension, but he is purposely choosing not to actually sign it until after the season.
If that is true, Rhett Lashley instantly goes to number 1 on my board, not because I want
Yeah.
Rhett Lashley the most, but because I think that is the most realistic hire without the extension.
Yeah.
If he
That
does
tells
not
me that he's listening. He's gonna listen.
if he does not sign that, if that is true, I think Rhett Lashley, my prediction would be Rhett Lashley is the Auburn head coach. That would be
Yeah.
my prediction. Not saying that that's what I want the most, but that would be my guess. With the prediction, I think it's very unrealistic just because of how much money we would have to pay.
True.
Next on my list, DJ Durkin. I think if DJ Durkin comes in here and wins 2 games, finds our way to a bowl game, wins the bowl game, I think we could be having a really real conversation, and just signing an offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator. My predictions for those offensive coordinator, defensive coordinators, or I guess my hopefuls would be Eric Morris at North Texas. And surprise, this is going to take you by surprise. I think DJ Durkin, I don't think he would sign this. I don't think he would sign this guy, but I could see it happening. Will Muschamp would come back to Auburn as the defensive coordinator. Currently the co-defensive coordinator at Georgia. I could see it happening.
Yes.
That's if we
Yeah. Would not be
hire DJ
surprised.
Durkin as the head coach, and I'm not
Here's
against
why I
that.
think that would not happen. Because I think Glenn Schumann's on the move, and I think Will
Do you
Muschamp
think
would
Will
just get the
Muschamp
bump
will
up.
be the coordinator?
Yeah.
I can see that too.
But I see what you're coming from.
And this is into my top 2. These are the two biggest names that I'm hearing. One of them is a home run hit. One of them I'm skeptical on. John Summerall, very big name for Auburn. Obviously, he's a big name for a lot of openings, but I have heard his name in just about every Auburn talk for the head coaching position that I've watched. And I've watched a lot since yesterday, buddy. Just know. John
I bet.
Summerall is a very big name. My question with John Summerall is if he gets in here, would he be willing to keep DJ Durkin? Because if you tell me I have to choose between taking a flyer on John Summerall or keeping DJ Durkin, I'm keeping DJ Durkin all day. Some people might not agree with that. 4 seasons as a head coach, I need more before I can say, yeah, let's get rid of a top 5 defensive coordinator in all of college football. That's me personally.
Unproven versus proven.
That's me personally.
Yeah.
Now, if John Summerall can come in and we got a contract in saying that DJ Durkin has to be his defensive coordinator, I'm all for John Summerall. I would love to take a flyer on the guy. I just want to keep DJ Durkin, and with him being a defensive guy, I don't know if he would be willing to keep him. Because as a defensive guy, you want to have guys that you trust. And I understand that. I trust DJ Durkin. My number 1, he's the betting favorite as of right now, today, to be the next Auburn head coach. I would be head over heels. This is my absolute home run hit. Kenny Dillingham returns to Auburn. The biggest question I have is he's an Arizona State alma mater. How can we get him here? You would have to pay him. But I think it is very possible. I think we have the money to do it. I think he would be all ears. His 1 year as OC at Auburn was 2019. We went 9-3. Bo Nix won SEC Freshman of the Year. He then went to Florida State, then went back. Then he went to Oregon and followed Bo Nix, where he had an amazing year. Was a Heisman candidate, and now he's at Arizona State doing fairly good, coming off of a playoff run last year where they very easily could have beat Texas. And they're 6-3 this year, even with many injuries, and the in a very good situation, I will say. Now, like you said earlier, if that is true about Rhett Lashley, I think all of that goes out the window. I think Auburn and John Cohen does what it has to do to get Rhett Lashley in here. I don't like Rhett Lashley over John Summerall, Kenny Dillingham, DJ Durkin, Brent Key. I don't like Rhett Lashley over a lot of these guys. I think a lot of these guys are a better option than Rhett Lashley, but I think if Rhett Lashley does not sign that extension and he is hearing Auburn out, I think Auburn gets Rhett Lashley.
Yeah, I agree with a lot of the guys you say. Here's the thing about Auburn, and there's a few jobs like this. It's not what I think, it's not what you think. And honestly, it's not always what the athletic director thinks, because there's some people with some deep pockets that have too much to say at Auburn. There's
Mm-hmm.
programs that just have that situation. Alabama was like that until Nick Saban got there and said, "No, if y'all want me, it's going to be my way or the highway, and we're going to win, and then all of you can shut up." Well, that's what happened, and because Alabama got in a lot of trouble before Nick Saban got there, and then they cleaned it up, and then sky's the limit. A few Auburn boosters have a little too much to say. All right, we've known that for years and years and years. So it's not always what we think, not always what the AD thinks. What do those guys think? So I'd be interested to see what they think, who they think. Yeah.
Uh, 24 hours ago, I'd be completely in the same boat with you. Today, John Cohen at his press conference, when asked, "What's the hiring committee look like?" he said, "I am the committee." I think he made it very clear today that it is going to be ultimately his decision. I think the boosters will have something to say, as they always do, because they
They
have
always
for a
will.
long time. But I think that's what happened with um, Hugh Freeze, and now John Cohen, which I don't agree with it, is kind of on his own hot seat and has to make a good hire, or else they're going to start looking
Yeah.
at him and being like, "I get out of here." I don't think that's the right move. I like John Cohen. I'm very big on John Cohen.
Yeah.
But I think he's going to put his fate in his hands. He made it very clear today that he was going to be very critical on himself. He was going to try his hardest to make the best decision for the fans and for himself. He said he's going to put all the pressure on himself. He made it sound like he was the one in charge, and for the first time in a long time, I think somebody's telling the truth.
Yeah.
So 24 hours ago, I would have been with you, but he's made it very convincing today that he's going to make his own call.
Yeah, I'd agree. We'll see. Those Auburn boosters, man,
Yeah, they're
they're different. They can be
they're
different. They can
something.
be different sometimes. So we'll see. I'll kind of go in some names would that I think could be in contention only if the boosters are heavily involved. So I'll kind of give you two sides. John Cohen, boosters.
I got you.
Boosters, you could hear names like a
Don't say
guy
it.
who's up there in the betting odds to do it, who would just be terrible, I think.
Don't say it.
Who you would literally just be getting Hugh Freeze.
Don't
I
say it.
compared
Don't
Hugh
say it.
Freeze to him
Don't say it.
him earlier, but
Don't say
it's
it. Don't
it's
say it. Don't say it.
it's it's old Jimbo Fisher.
No, no. If we get Jimbo, I'm not watching football. I'm not. I'm not doing it.
I personally hope they hire Jimbo Fisher. I don't think they will.
That's a name. That was one
But
of those names that I heard on the hot board
that
that
was
is just so
look,
ridiculous.
I've heard like 20 different names, but that's a name.
It's so
Um
ridiculous, dude.
Dan Mullen's also a name I saw.
It is.
I don't I one and the same in my opinion. Just
If you
like
fire Hugh
unrealistic, but
Freeze to go get Hugh
maybe.
Freeze, what are we doing, dude?
Yeah. I agree. I agree. Um Now James Franklin I'm gonna say him for every single one of these jobs. I don't think that's happening though, but I'll say his name. Clark Lee. I think you mentioned him too.
I did not.
Okay, but
Just
I'll
because he's not
throw.
on my quote unquote wish list.
Okay,
But he is
yeah,
on
yeah,
the extended list that I
yeah,
do have in my brain.
yeah. He could be a guy potentially. Um, Rhett Lashley. I agree with you. I think he is gonna listen to multiple teams. One could probably will be Auburn. Exploring around. Um, let's see. Where am I at? There we go. Kenny Dillingham. Real opportunity. It to me, so certain guys just love certain jobs. So to me, to me and you, Auburn's a better job than Arizona State.
Right.
But how does Kenny Dillingham feel? Now, I don't know. Maybe he feels Auburn's a better job. He's been there. But maybe he's an Arizona State guy. I'm not sure. I think Auburn would be silly not to try. Not to say, hey, what would it take? What would it look like for you to get here? Um, so that's a real option. And the ultimate guy who I think they hire, you said this name. I'm sure you know who I'm about to say, but it is John Summerall. My only issue with that is that's like the name you hear the most.
Right.
And when it's that way, like a lot of times like that's
Doesn't
not
turn
who it
out good.
is, which is why I'm curious. So I'm gonna go John Summerall just because that's the name I've been hearing the most. But it's also like I don't know. I don't have a good grip on this. I need to let a couple weeks go by, let it kind of die down, let a few other guys get some extensions, and then really get a firm grip on who I think it'll be. So I'll go John Summerall right now, but man, it could be him, it could be Kenny, it could be Clark Lee, it could be Rhett Lashley. Another name to watch out for, not necessarily for this job, could be for this job, but just around college football. Joey McGuire at Texas Tech could potentially be on the move. I don't think so, but maybe an SEC team comes calling. Could be Auburn. Yeah, John Summerall, Kenny Dillingham. I think you got to try to get one of those guys, or Rhett Lashley, or Jeff Brom. I hope y'all don't get Jeff Brom. I wholeheartedly believe Jeff Brom is the best candidate for this job. Um, I just because I think he's that good of a football coach, and he's that just not no nonsense. I'm not going to play the cute games with you. I'm just going to coach football and win football games, and I don't want Auburn to have that. So those names, and then obviously the Jimbo Fisher name. It's once again, we think it's silly. We might think it's silly. The question is, do
I'm not
people who
laughing.
have say over there think it's silly?
I'm not laughing, Garrett. I don't think none of this is
No, no,
funny. I don't
silly,
think it's
silly
silly.
as in like we know
Like
it could
dumb?
happen, but silly as in it would be a silly hire
Oh.
on their part. Yeah, yeah.
It would
We
be
think that.
something that I'm not gonna say on live
Yeah.
kind of higher.
The question is, did they feel that way too?
I might
I hope they
question
do.
my Auburn
I hope they do.
fandom if they hire
Yeah, and
Jimbo.
then other random names: Glenn Schumann, um,
Fran Brown.
uh, Fran Brown.
I think that's the name
Uh,
to
I
look
did
out for.
I did hear that one. Who else did I hear? Dadgum. Who was I thinking about?
I do think Manny Diaz is the name to watch. I don't think it happens, but
Manny
I
Diaz,
have
Brent Key. I
heard it.
didn't say Brent Key.
Brent Key is definitely a
Uh,
name to watch. I just don't think he leaves Georgia Tech.
yeah, there was
Um,
somebody else who I was thinking about, and I just forgot it. But I don't think whoever it was is insignificant. Oh, Ryan Silverfield. I didn't say his name. He could be a
mhm.
guy that's been talked about a little bit. So there's a lot of names. I mean, it's not even been 48 hours. It's barely been 24 hours.
Mhm.
So
Uh,
we'll see.
what's Oregon's OC? I've heard his name come up a lot too.
Oh, dude, what is his name?
I
I
think it's
know
Will
who you're talking
Stein.
about. Will Stein. You're right. Yep.
I've heard his name come up a lot in Auburn talks.
Yeah,
Don't
I
think that it
agree.
happens, but I've heard his name.
No. Yeah. So, but there's a lot of potential there, but we'll see. How soon do you think they make a hire? Obviously after the season, but like you thinking
Um,
it's kind of something that happens before or after like the first round of the playoffs, which is December 19th.
I think it all depends on. if we qualify for a bowl game, because I think that's still a possibility.
That's fair.
I
And no,
think
it is.
I
It is.
think we can pull off an upset on Vandy or Alabama. I think that is a very real possibility, because we know how teams get when they fire their coach. There's a new level of energy. There's a new level of excitement, and I'm telling you right now, I've watched enough. I've heard enough. I am an Auburn guy through and through. I don't come on here with no false information. I listen before I say anything about Auburn. These kids are bought in to DJ Durkin. And that is a dangerous thing when you got a guy fighting for his head coaching position, maybe. You have a newfound energy late in the year, and you're fighting for a bowl game. And I think Auburn's a dangerous team right now, because we've seen how it happens. We've seen what happens when these teams, when this kind of stuff happens, and I think Auburn has the chance to do some crazy things in the next 3 weeks. So if they make it to a bowl game, it's got to be after the bowl game, obviously. Because if they win the bowl game, if you win 2 games in the rest of the season, then win the bowl game, I think DJ Durkin puts his name like very largely on those scales. I think DJ Durkin would have to practically hand over the job to not get it if he finds a way to win a bowl game.
Oh yeah. No, definitely. I agree.
Um, so maybe second round of playoffs, I would say.
Yeah.
I would say that's enough time.
So that would be like around New Year's. Yeah, it would be New Year's. New Year's Eve. Around
Yeah.
that time.
Um, and if DJ Durkin can do that, I'm on board. I'm on board. We would just have to make sure that we sign the right OC. And if we that my fear with DJ Durkin becoming head coach, I think it would be like a Brent Venables situation. I see a lot of Brent Venables in DJ Durkin. I think they're very similar, and the problem that I have with that is Brent Venables calls his defense. I think if DJ Durkin became the head coach, he would call his defense. And I think if it's hard to call your offense, considering how much goes into the defense, I think it would be a little bit harder to call your own defense as a head coach, because you have to watch so much film. You know, if a play works on offense. You have to know what the other team is getting ready to do. And that's my big fear with taking that flyer on DJ Durkin. Now, if he would be completely okay with relinquishing those duties to somebody else that he trusted. Now, the DJ Durkin tree is big. He's worked with a lot of people. After Maryland, he went to Atlanta Falcons. He worked at Texas A&M. I think he worked at Florida State. He's worked at a lot of places, and he knows a lot of guys. He has a lot of connections. So if he can find somebody that he trusts to run the defense, I'm down. But like I said, let's see what he does. And I think around the second round of the playoffs, Auburn will have a new head coach.
Yeah, I could see that for sure.
Unless like they only beat Mercer, and then I think it's literally as soon as they possibly can.
Fair enough.
If they only beat Mercer,
Yeah,
I don't
just
think
go ahead
DJ
and get the
Durkin
guy.
gets it.
Dude, don't BS. Just go ahead and don't risk your guy getting snagged from you. Like, go ahead and start being aggressive and get your guy earlier than possible, because so many teams are looking for a coach.
Well, I can't remember if I said this to you, but it sounded like, or from what I heard, John Cohen was out after the Missouri game. So I feel like John Cohen has been looking and calling options ever since that Missouri game.
Yeah,
And I think they
I don't
have
doubt
an
it.
idea of who they want. They're just not going to say anything, obviously, right now.
Yeah, yeah.
I think there is a
Yeah.
very obvious pool in John Cohen's mind of like 5 or 6 or 7 guys that
Well,
he wants.
they say every athletic director in their very back of their bottom drawer has a list, just in case. Even Georgia, even Alabama did, of a just in case, break in case of emergency list. So
Hey, he
I
might.
imagine
He might.
John Cohen probably had stuff on his mind preseason.
I'm telling you,
What
if you're serious about that Rhett Lashley stuff, watch for Rhett Lashley.
it's
I
it's a rumor, but it's a reputable source that said it. I can't remember who, but it's somebody like you, like we've seen his stuff before.
like a
So I have to look more into it to see if it's legit or not, but it's just something I saw like literally right before the podcast.
hey, if that like I said, if that's true, I really think Rhett Lashley becomes the next Auburn head coach because he was my number one prediction until I heard about the extension.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd agree. I would agree.
Oh man, but with all the technical difficulties and the Auburn basketball scare, we're pretty behind schedule. So let's get into these predictions.
Oh yeah. Alrighty, you ready?
Oh yeah,
Alrighty. First game up.
Auburn,
Auburn
Auburn, 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 Auburn.
at Vandy, 3 p.m. Vandy favored by 7.5. You have anything you want to say?
Auburn finds a way to get it done. 24-20. Auburn wins the ball game. DJ Durkin lights a fire. I have a good feeling. I can't explain it to you, kind of like how you said the Oregon Indiana game. I just have a feeling. It might be biased. I don't care. I just have a feeling.
Yeah, no, that's fair. So I said last week, um, so I haven't picked Auburn all year, and I picked Auburn last week, and it's the one game that they lost. And I
It's your
jokingly said,
fault.
I jokingly said that, when I said I was hopping off the Vandy bandwagon, but I would be back this week, and I will be picking Vandy to win by 55. I was joking, like that was a joke. I'm not picking Vandy to win by 55. Until these jokers, the jokers on your team, in your coaching staff, decided to go lose 10-3 to Kentucky. So with that being said, I want to make it a point that I am staying as far away from Auburn as I possibly can, no matter who they are playing. Obviously, I'm picking Vandy to win, and I'm picking them to win 55-0, because that is the punishment for losing like that to Kentucky at home.
They lose
I
55
want
to
it on the
0.
graphic.
We're both going to
I'm
retire from
taking
the
my
podcast.
I'm taking my stance against that team because the one time I almost puked to pick them, they do that crap. Okay, so 55-0. Give me
Welcome to
Vandy.
my weekly life. That's me
Yeah.
every week.
Anyway,
But look, you said those clowns. That clown is gone. The clown is gone. He packed up his little clown car. He's nowhere to be seen anymore. Okay?
I hope so. Well, he is, but actually, I don't hope so. I hope y'all lose 55-0. I don't think you will, but I hope you do. Alrighty. All jokes aside, next on the list, LSU at Bama, 6:30 kickoff. Bama's a 10.5 point favorite. 50.5 over under. Here's my question: does LSU have that post coach firing resurgence? Um, I said earlier, I just simply don't think so because offensively, they still have the same beat up quarterback. They still have the same running game, same offensive line, same play caller, same wide receiver core. I don't see them finding a way to get it together. Like I said, Kellen DeBoer is amazing, coming off a bye, so I'm gonna stick with it. He's gonna be wearing that black hoodie, even though it's gonna be a little chilly. He'll be all right. I don't care. He's wearing it. Um, Give me the Tide to win. I think jump out early and then kind of slow down towards the end. So a typical Alabama game, how they've played this year. Give me Alabama to win 34-17. So that's covering, but not like a dominant victory.
Got a
But
very similar prediction.
oh, okay. What you got?
I got Bama winning 32-17.
Okay.
Very similar win, though. I think they get out to a big lead. They kind of just take their foot off the gas and cruise to the end.
Yeah, okay. So yeah, we see this very similar then, because that's exactly how I think it happens. Alrighty. So I'm trying to make sure I get all these down.
No, you good.
Um, Game I'm excited for: Georgia Mississippi State, 11 a.m. kickoff. Georgia's favored by 7.5 points. 57.5 point over under. We talked about this game earlier. I think you picked Georgia. Wanna elaborate more on that?
Just think Georgia's too much for this Mississippi State team. They've been in a lot of close games, haven't been able to pull it out. I feel like they're getting exhausted, which they did have a big win. You saw what happened to Auburn when they finally got their win against Arkansas. Very similar situation. A team that I've said is very similar to Auburn got their very good close win against Arkansas. Finally found a way to get it done, and they're going to do the exact same thing that Auburn did at Kentucky. They're just going to wet the bed against Georgia. They're going to get too excited. They're going to live it up. Doesn't matter. You're going to lose again. I'm going Georgia 30, Mississippi State 13.
Dang. All right. So you got them winning comfortably.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been circling this game for weeks now. Mississippi State is a good football team, and Georgia has found themselves escaping multiple close games. I've been hyping this game up in my head for a while now, so I have a little bit of room to spare. So I'm going with the upset. This is the one I'm feeling. Give me Hell State at home to beat Georgia 38-35 in a close game, a really good game. This is the second week in a row I've picked against Georgia. Probably not the smartest thing to do, but I'll do it. I'll do it. I'll be the one to do it. You get to do that when you're an Alabama fan. I think it's written in a contract somewhere. I don't know. I think they have a sign of it in Bryant-Denny. Yeah, give me Mississippi State. Shot if they pull this off. But Georgia can absolutely win this. But I've been waiting for Mississippi State. I said Mississippi State is gonna ruin someone's season. This could be that season ruining win. Yeah, you bring in Georgia and you beat them. Georgia better be careful. Mississippi State is not bad. They can't start off slow and continue to get lucky because eventually that luck runs out. So we'll see. But give me Hill State to win this one. The upset.
When you're just up by so much, you have fun with it. And we'll get
I did forget to mention the current standings. I'm 65 and 21. I went 6-4 last week, and you are 49 and 37,
gosh,
and you went 4-6 last week.
just don't know ball. I guess since we're going over it would now. I guess now would be a good time. You told me I didn't even respond. It was such a bad day. I didn't even want to respond to your text. You said you guessed a perfect
Oh,
score.
I did. I haven't counted the points yet, but I did guess the Mississippi State Arkansas score 38-35. Proof is on the Instagram. You might want to double check that I did look at it correctly, but I believe I did.
I believe you, bro. It just had to come at the word like my absolute lowest. That's when it had to happen.
I might not count it. What did we even agree on?
It was 3 points.
Okay. We might do like because I want my record to reflect my record. I don't want it to be juiced at all. So maybe like I'll add like a separate column, like in another parentheses that says like plus whatever we agreed on, and at the end of the year like we'll add it. So that way I still have my record, but I also have those bonus points there. We can do that because I still want to know what my true record is. Um, but we'll figure out a way to add it up. Sure.
You can do like a +3 next to it.
Yeah, that's what I'll probably do. Um,
But like,
Also,
don't
I was
add the
thinking,
3 if you know what I'm saying.
yeah, I was thinking if we get to rivalry week, rivalry, I can't say that word.
It's tough, bro. It's
The
tough.
the last week of the regular
Yeah.
season, I'm thinking we predict more games and maybe just maybe we do double points. Just why not try to have fun with it?
I'm gonna find a way to lose by even more. We'll talk about
Either
that
you
when it gets
lose,
there.
I
We'll
bet.
talk about
We'll
that when
see.
it
We'll
gets there.
see. You'll have nothing to lose.
You're
So,
right.
I
You're
mean,
right. I will have nothing to lose.
unless you just have a great last like 4 weeks.
I don't think
3 weeks.
happens.
You don't have anything to lose.
I'd have to go like
Anyway,
10 for 10 every week.
y or I would just have to do terrible. One of the two.
Yeah.
A
Yeah.
little bit of mix of both, actually. You'd have to go 8-2, and I'd have to be shooting about 4-6 every week for it
Hey,
to jump
it's
back.
possible.
It's not impossible. It is not. I'm 16 points ahead, not including the three bonus. Um.
So
Anyway,
I'd have to score you. You said 12 points or 16?
16.
I'd have to outscore you by like 5 to 6 points every week.
16, yeah. I did count that correctly. It is 16.
Oh man.
Oh well. It'll be okay. You got in a hole early and you just haven't been able to dig back from it.
I'm never taking like the risky decisions again. I mean, but
Yeah. Look,
even
I
when I
had
started taking the right decision, I'm getting them wrong.
yeah. Look, I went 10-0 one week and I I like looking at my picks heading into that week, like it looked like I had the silly picks and I happened to go 10-0. Like there's a lot of luck. It also helps that the team that I pick with every week happens to be Alabama, and the team I pick against every week happens to be Auburn. So that gives me
Hey,
extra bonus points every week.
that's a terrible. I'm already off to a bad start just voting for Auburn.
Exactly. But all right. Texas A&M at Missouri, 2:30 kick. A&M is favored by 5.5. Obviously Bo Prabula is out. Texas A&M, one of the hottest teams in the nation, one of the best teams in the nation. Um, I am going to go the Tex Ags. Gig 'em 37-24. I think it's like a good game, but like A&M just kind of pulls away right there at the very end to kind of make it look a little bit uglier than it actually will be. But yeah, 37-24. Gimme Texas A&M Aggies.
Um, I do agree with you. I think this is a very close game up until the end. I think Mizzou actually finds a way to fight. Could be wrong. Even without Bo Prabula, um, like I said, that defense from Mizzou, I think really just puts up some question. Like it makes Texas A&M question some of the things that they're doing. I think they have a rough week offensively. They're due for it. It's bound to happen at some point. They got one more bad performance before they're locked in for the rest of the year. I think it comes right here, right now, against Mizzou. I still think they find a way to win. I'm going to go 24-21 Texas A&M.
Alrighty, 24-21. Alrighty. Um, Next up we have Florida at Kentucky.
This
Florida's a
game made me think of something that I was going to tell you at the beginning of the podcast, and I forgot.
oh, yeah.
If we weren't doing the costume thing, I was going to wear a paper bag over my face. But we got the two teams that need to wear it. Uh,
I would have paid good money to have that on the podcast.
if we didn't wear the costumes, I promise you I was going to wear a paper bag over my face because I
All
was
right.
that
All
embarrassed.
right. All right. If Auburn loses to Mercer, the paper bag's coming back.
Oh yeah, I got you. If we lose the Mercer, I'll
Bet.
put it on. You don't even. I
Bet.
don't even need. No, there's nothing. I'll do that
Please,
willingly.
Mercer. Please. Yeah, Kentucky, Florida, 6:30 kick. Florida 3.5 point favorite, 45.5 point over under. Um, Kentucky had their Super Bowl last week. They had their chance. They knew that this was their chance. They know they had to show up. They weren't going to get another chance. They gave it everything they had, and they escaped with a victory in a close game against a team that is better than them. I will, like that's obvious. I think Auburn is a better football team than Kentucky. Um,
Same.
although both teams have struggled, though teams have struggled winning in Lexington. Like if you look at a lot of the games they've played there, it's been closer games. Tennessee, um, Texas. Who else? Ole Miss. All did not win comfortably up there. Um, I do think Florida will win. I think it's a big time running game. So look for a big game from Jaden Baugh, something like
Bah,
that.
bah.
Yeah, he's their running back. He hasn't been playing great all year. I think that's been how they've been using him more so than his talent level. I think he has a big game. Um, I predicted, we made the USC Nebraska predictions, and I said, watch out for USC's running game. I don't know if you remember I said that. Well, USC um, had like 100 more rushing yards than passing yards and outrushed Nebraska by like 200. So that was a good pick on my part. And I think it happens again. I'm picking this game. The running game is going to be the big difference for Florida. Give me Florida with a dominant running game, winning 24-13 in Lexington.
Um, I know what the statistics tell me to pick. I know what the roster tells me to pick. But I'm very torn because of the emotions from both teams. Florida coming off of a very emotional loss, a game that they feel like they potentially um, could have won had not been for the refs. That's neither here nor there. That's the attitude of the players, not me. Um, in a rivalry loss, all rivalry losses are emotional. Tough week. You don't have a head coach. Where's your head at? And Kentucky, coming off of a huge win against Auburn, at Auburn, at a night game, getting another coach fired, and Mark Stoops potentially saving his job. Um,
Yeah.
how do they respond? So I think one team's on a very high and one team's on a very low. How do these teams react to being in the position that they're in? And that's why I'm torn on this game. Because I don't know. Everything's telling me to pick Florida, but the emotions make me want to pick Kentucky. It's at Kentucky. What time is it?
6:30.
It's a night game at Kentucky. Both teams 3-5, I believe. Um,
Something like that.
gosh, everything's telling me to pick Florida, but my heart's just telling me to pick Kentucky. What'd you pick? You picked Florida?
Oh yeah.
I want to pick Kentucky so bad. I'm gonna pick Florida. I think Florida finds a way to win. Um, I think it's a sloppy game though, kind of like the other ones that have happened in that Kentucky Wildcat Stadium. It's just a weird place this year. Um, I
Yeah.
think what was the final for the Texas Kentucky game? 16-13. I'm gonna go 20 to
Yes.
17, Florida.
Alrighty. Dig it. Alrighty. Next, we are done with the SEC predictions. On to the Big Ten. What could end up being a game? Oregon at Iowa. It's a 2:30 game. Oregon is favored by 6.5. The over/under is very low, but it is Iowa, so 43.5 is the over/under. What are you thinking about this?
Um, was Iowa 6-2 right now?
I think so, 6-2.
They've
I
had
have them
an
ranked.
they've had an impressive run. It was nice seeing them in Garrett's ranked. They were almost on the AP poll. They were almost on my poll. Uh, it just ends here. I just they just don't have the offense. We know what Iowa is. They never have the offense, and it sucks. It really does. But it's Oregon. You need some offense playing Oregon. Um, I think the final is 38 to 20. I'll give them 20.
Yeah. I do think Iowa's really good, and this is a game that I kind of was like thinking about. I am gonna go with Oregon. But there is a path for Iowa. Can they messy this game up? Can they keep it low scoring? If so, then I actually pick Iowa in that situation. Because that's their style of football. But I think Oregon's too good. I do think Oregon probably like their schedule's favorable, but I think they might lose another game because they have like like four losable games left. I think it's at Iowa, Minnesota, USC, and Washington. They very well could lose one of those games. We'll see. This is one of those that they could find a way to lose. Ultimately, I can't go with Iowa. I think Oregon is too good, even with it being at Iowa. So give me Oregon to win, but a little bit closer. Give me Oregon to win 30-17.
I will say Oregon has not looked the best in these past few weeks.
No, they
They
haven't.
looked a
They
little
haven't.
sloppy.
So watch if they come in not focused like Iowa could get them
I
for
think
sure.
I think Washington is the week.
Yeah, watch it. It's at Washington. Oregon hasn't won at Washington since before Kalen DeBoer got there. So
I think that's the game to look out for.
yeah, I could agree with that. Um, Game of the week according to ESPN and College Game Day, BYU Texas Tech.
What?
This is at Texas Tech.
It's not an
11 a.m.
SEC
kickoff.
team though.
Yeah.
How can that be game of the
Come on.
week?
Yeah. Come on now. That
It's
we obviously know. We obviously know.
it's
SEC
very
bias.
clearly Georgia versus Mississippi State. That's the best game of the
Yeah,
week.
personally, I feel like ESPN just has a bias for good football games, which is
I
why they are
agree.
going to this game because
I
this could be
agree.
a good football game. It's crazy how that works. BYU, Texas Tech, 11 a.m. Texas Tech favored by 10 and a half. Seems a little far. I'll talk about that in a little bit. 53 and a half point over under. People will continue to doubt BYU, so I think that 10-point spread is a little disrespectful for an undefeated team. This will be one of the biggest, most important regular season games all year. I'm high on Tech. I have been all year. Um, if it was at BYU, maybe I would think differently. Um, but I think that, like I said earlier, the Texas Tech D line against Bear Bachmeier, yeah, Bear Bachmeier, um, will just be too much. Um, Bear, Bear and Morton, Texas Tech quarterback, they look like two different teams. First when he's on the floor, first when he's not. He is healthy. So give me Texas Tech to win. I don't think they cover, but I think they win. I think it's not as pretty as the score says. Like I think BYU kind of scores late. Like I think Texas Tech dominates the game from start to finish. Just kind of has it in their control. Not a whole ton of doubt, but give me Texas Tech 34-28.
Okay. Yeah, I think just everything that I saw. I don't try to vote off the paper, but everything you see on paper versus in comparison Texas Tech to BYU, it's just it looks like pure domination is incoming. Um, like I said, I really try not to vote off the paper, but when you see, for example, number 3 in points per game and number 5 in allowed points per game, um, and then it it's just they're 17 in third down conversion, they're 15 in stopping their opponents on third down, and then BYU is 74th in converting on third down. It's just everything on the matchup tells me it's gonna be hard for BYU to win. Um, I do think this might be a sloppy game to begin with. I think Texas Tech is going to struggle to find rhythm. BYU, like you said, they're going to be up extra early. Um, and it's an away game. So I think they're going to be sloppy. I still think Texas Tech wins in a not dominant fashion to the score, just dominant fashion throughout the game. Kind of like you said, the score kind of hides what's going on. I'm going to go Texas Tech 28, BYU 20.
Okay, I like that.
But I will say BYU has won a uh, very sloppy defensive game earlier this year, and I have not seen that from Texas Tech
Yeah,
yet.
true. That is true. Iowa State at TCU is our next game. 2:30 kick. TCU is favored by 6.5 points over under 57 and a half. I have been high on Iowa State all season. Like I said, I'm a closeted Iowa State fan, but these bums keep letting me down. So, give me Josh Hoover, who is a dog I'm a big fan of, to get it done at home. Give me the Horned Frogs, winning by a touchdown, thus barely covering the point spread. 31-24.
Um, I just think this TCU team is ultimately just better than Iowa State. I don't think Iowa State really has a shot. Like I said, I think, and I'm not saying like they're completely like just so overrated, but I do think they're a slightly overrated team. I don't think they're as good as everybody thinks. Even now, I think they're even worse than what people think. Um, and I think TCU is an underrated team. So I got TCU winning. I think it'll be 34 24 TCU.
424. Yeah, okay, so we're not too far off then. Alrighty, next up, Tulane at Memphis, some G5 action. This is a 8 o'clock kickoff. Um, Memphis is favored by 6.5, 55.5 point spread. This game is played on Friday, not Saturday. It's played on Friday. So, what are you thinking?
If it was not at 8 o'clock on Memphis, I'd be willing to take Tulane just because I got a feeling. But 8 o'clock at Memphis, Friday night game, who knows? Friday Night Lights comes to
Yeah.
college. I think Memphis is. I think they're the better team overall. I think they have the home field advantage. It's a night game. It's a Friday night. Nobody has anything going on. Um, I just think it's a tall task to ask Tulane to come on over. Um, I got Memphis winning 33-25.
Alrighty. Let's see. I think this game very well could feature Auburn's next head coach. It could be coming from either team. I think whoever wins
The
this game could find themselves there. Maybe.
the Auburn Head Coach
Um,
Bowl.
yeah, could be. I do think Memphis wins. I think they win somewhat comfortably, just being at home. Give me Memphis to win 38-28. I don't feel good about it, but this could go either way. But I'm gonna go with Memphis. Um, I think it'd be hilarious if Memphis made it to the playoffs and their only loss was to UAB. That would just be hilarious. Like, congrats, you made it to the playoffs, but we have the 95-pound slab of ribs trophy in Birmingham. So, whoa,
We're the
who
real
really won?
champs.
Who really won? Um, Speaking of UAB, lastly, we have UAB at Rice. This is a 1 o'clock kickoff. Rice is favored. Food is favored by 2.5 against the Dragons. 53.5 point spread. What are you thinking, sir?
It's been an up and down roller coaster for UAB all season. I think they finally met a team that's kind of on their level, and when I think we're on a when I think UAB has met a team that's on their level, I think they can find a way to win. I like their offense. Obviously, it's been one of the better offenses um, in the American Conference in all of college football. Passing wise, statistically, it is. Um, I think they find a way to win. I think Alex Mortensen makes his case for potential head coach. I'm not saying they don't get it, but I think this is a guy who's fighting for his spot to be the head coach. And how many wins does UAB have?
4.
4.
Maybe.
Think they're trying to make a run to go bowling. Who knows?
Maybe.
I'm always gonna. If we got UAB on here, I'm gonna just vote for UAB.
Oh yeah. Well,
I'm a homer.
um, yeah.
Oh,
What score are you
score
thinking?
prediction 34 25. A lot of funky scores for me this week.
Yeah, I like it though. Um, alrighty. Um, do you really think I'm gonna pick against UAB? All right, I
Yeah, I
go
do.
there. I'm not picking against them. Uh, give me give me UAB. Um, I'm not even gonna pretend like I'm torn on this game. Just give me UAB flat out. Spit fire. Whatever you want to say. Spit fire. Go Blazers. Give me the offense. 37-28.
Kind of similar.
UAB. Yeah, not too far off.
Kind of similar. I think that's the last prediction.
Hmm.
I'm gonna just be honest. I gotta get up in the morning. I'm super tired. I've been awake since 3 a.m.
Ooh.
I haven't been to sleep since I woke up. Um, so I am drained. I'm sure you can kind of see it in my eyes. Um, I'll have a lot of clipping to do on this one because of the technical errors in the Auburn game. Um, if you watch live, you can expect this to be out. Hopefully, this part of it will be out tomorrow night, and then Wednesday and Thursday. Um, who knows? Who knows? I'll do my best to get these out as quickly as I possibly can. It won't be tonight. I know that. Um, Garrett, do you got any final thoughts?
Nah, good episode. Sorry I wasn't totally prepared, but yeah, we made it. It was a good
It's
episode, I
all
feel
good.
like.
I think I picked up the weight for all your stats. You usually are the statistical guy, and
Yeah,
I got
dude,
him this week.
you could tell I wasn't prepared because I didn't have nothing. I didn't have
That's all
nothing.
right. That's all right. I think I like the. I found me a good website that I can reference,
Yeah,
and I'm gonna
I've been
start.
I've been trying to find some good websites to use. I finally am
Uh,
getting the hang of it, but I've been so busy this weekend. You don't even know. Actually, you probably do get it. You know how it is. You get busy sometimes.
teamrankings.com.
See, I just look at like this. I think it's literally just like collegefootballstats.com. It's just like you can find anything.
You talking about college football reference?
No, not reference. I've looked there too, but there's one that's literally just CFP stats.
Okay, I'll check that one out too. I like this one because I had like I'll show you my notes. My notes look good this week. I was on it this week. Oh
Oh yeah.
man, it's gonna blur it out, but like you
Ah.
can see, like I'm just full of it this week.
Oh yeah. You did good.
Blurred out, but I had them all. I was ready this week, and it felt good. Felt good to be fully prepared this week.
Yeah, I'll be back next week. I'll be ready next week.
Hopefully, I can match you. I'll have a little bit of off
Hey,
time this week, so I'll
we'll
find
see.
some time to definitely get my stats ready.
Yeah. Alrighty. I'm looking forward to it. We're getting better and better.
Oh yeah, oh yeah,
More fluent, as you can see if you check your text. I literally already have the picture
yeah.
graphic ready.
I
So I've
saw it.
been
I
I,
saw it. I'm
I've
ready.
been humming. All right, like I'm prepared.
You working before we even off the live?
Hmm.
Oh man. But with that being said, we gonna get on out of here. I'm tired. I'm sure Garrett. You said you had a busy day. I'm sure you're tired.
Yes. Yeah.
Um, and we'll be back next Monday, 7:15, hopefully, Lord willing.
Right.
Expect the YouTube drops. Um, I've been telling you I'm gonna get this on Apple and all of that. I promise I'm gonna get that figured out. I was supposed to do that this weekend. I totally forgot, but I'm gonna get it figured out really soon. And then that's
That's
when I feel like the
all good.
ball will be moving.
We're gonna
Um,
be humming going into basketball season, dude.
oh
Playoffs and
yeah,
basketball season. We're nice. We're gonna be dialed in.
we're starting to pick it up.
Hey, one nice thing, I do want to ask you about. So we were thinking about like off season, like potential things we might do. We are a college show, but during the off season, we could we possibly like maybe do some like NBA like playoff stuff
Oh, I'm
here and
down.
there.
I'm
Just
down.
yeah, because I know we both keep up with it heavily,
If
and it is during the off season, so
if football or basketball is going on at any time, it don't matter what it is. I'm down to cover it.
yeah, cool. Alrighty, because I know we were talking about that the other day about potential
Oh
what
yeah.
we could do during the off season,
Oh
so
yeah.
that works for me.
We'll figure it out as we go along. That's all a part of it.
Yeah.
Ooh. But I'm gonna get my butt into bed.
Alrighty. Yeah, dude, I am too. I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna see the end of this game right here, which is about to end. That's over anyway. All right.
Yeah. All right. We'll catch y'all next week. Uh. Peace.
Yeah.